I'm Lauren.
And I'm Lisa.
And we're flipping the script about growing older.
Our guests have been influencers since before that was even a thing. Welcome to the Anti-Aging Podcast.
Welcome to Age Like a Badass Mother. Please let me introduce you to Joan Lazarus. Joan launched and ran her own interior design firm in New York City for 30 years, beginning in 1965, when most women were not yet running businesses of this magnitude. Her firm focused on high-end residential and commercial projects, including St. Vincent's Hospital, the offices of Arthur Andersen, offices and residence of the president of Cushman & Wakefield, and innumerable model apartments. Joan was a weekly columnist for the New York Post from 1992 to 1995. Her column, called Get a Lifestyle, discussed interior design in New York. She was Carrie Bradshaw before Carrie Bradshaw. She has been sober for 46 years and has sponsored countless members of AA and continues to do so to this day. She trekked the Himalayas in her 50s. She met and married the love of her life, Charles Lazarus, founder of Toys R Us, when she was 60. She is focused on philanthropy, sitting on many boards, including that of the New Museum of Contemporary Art, the Alvin Ailey Dance Troupe, and Women in Need. She is a croquet player in good standing of the National Croquet Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. She has raised 2 outstanding humans and has a pack of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Joan has lived a large life, and I have been lucky enough to witness this beautiful life firsthand, because I am proud to say that this gorgeous, accomplished woman is my aunt. Please welcome a real badass mother, Joan Lazarus. Welcome.
I don't know what you're talking about, but you're so cute.
What? How old are you?
I'm 88. I'll be 89 in February.
You guys have to look at her on YouTube.
Come on.
Well, it goes back to when Lauren and I were putting this podcast together. Lauren I love the way she phrased the question. She's like, why is it that some women or people age like badass mothers and others are, depleted versions of their former selves? And so I look at you and I listen to you, and you're sharp and you're beautiful and you're vibrant. And I'm like, wow, this woman is going to be 89. And I look around me and I see 89-year-old women and men who are in wheelchairs, they're on ventilators, they're just not living life anymore. They're just waiting. And so tell us what your secrets are. Like, how do you stay so vibrant and so sharp and so engaged in life?
I think I stayed engaged in a lot of things. The decorating, although sometimes it's a pain in the neck, was something that I enjoyed, and it challenged me, and I stayed with it. And I still have some people that insist I do things for them. But the truth is, I don't have a business anymore. When I married Charles, he said, I'm giving you 2 years. You have to close up and we're going to go traveling. And that's what we did.
It's so interesting, though. I really feel like you were ahead of your time in so many ways. I mean, I'm not familiar with the design world, but it seems like you were ahead of your time as a woman designer starting your own business. How did that come about? Like, I picture you in the Mad Men era with the clipboard telling everybody what to do.
Exactly.
Well, what happened was I got married very young and had 2 children by the time I was 24. And I wanted to do the decorating. That was what I had studied. And although they never taught business, I wanted to have a business. I didn't want to work for anybody.
You went to college before you had your kids?
I went to interior design school.
And before kids?
Certified. In fact, I think I did some time at night when I had the 2 children.
Wow.
Because I hadn't finished, but I finished, I got certified, and then I started my own business. And I think to this day, the first client didn't know they were my first client. But,
we were just talking about that, kind of fudging it until
sorry. He gave me the job and he said, and start with the living room. And I put in a window installation that was very new. And he came home and he said, well, I don't like it. I said, okay, I'll tell you what, live with it for 1 week. If you don't like it, I will take it out at my expense after 1 week. I don't know what I was even talking about, but I figured that's the kind of guy he was. And from then on, his wife couldn't buy toilet paper without consulting with me.
Oh my God.
Well,
That's
how
amazing.
awesome that you had such like sharp business acumen, like you, and understanding the human nature in order to be able to do that is pretty cool.
I think it's called chutzpah.
That you clearly have.
Yeah. Where did that come from? Get that from your mother? Your mother had a lot of chutzpah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad was more quiet.
Yeah.
He really didn't know how to handle my mother and my sister. It was hard, but he and I were pretty close.
Yeah.
So you
yeah.
did that for a long time, and obviously were very good at what you did, or you wouldn't have gotten the types of jobs that you did. That's clearly a testament to your talent. But I am so curious then, how did you become a columnist for the New York Post? How did that come about?
I didn't even know that.
And I know it was a design column, which makes,
I didn't want to tell anybody that I wrote for the Post, but
because it wasn't the New York Times, because it was like the Post.
Right.
Oh, okay. But everybody reads page 6, and if they don't, they're lying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I did all the models, and Louise Sunshine was the
the model apartments
for Donald Trump. And they came to me and asked me to do his models. And I am telling you, this is over 50 years.
So
when you say models,
model apartments.
Apartment, I'm like, do you mean fashion models apartments? Okay, no, a model apartment.
They just had finished a building over on.
Did he pay you?
Near Lincoln Center.
Does he still owe you money?
I'd be happy to do the models, but I get paid up front. I got the money up front, or I wouldn't do it. We all knew what he was.
Oh,
wow. 50 years ago.
My God.
And I got the money up front.
Wow. You are smart.
You are so smart. What instincts you have. Incredible.
That's what it is. It's instinctive.
Wow.
So you listen to your voice. That's important. You have something telling you. You listen to your gut. You listen to your voice. Am I right?
Yes.
Well, that's really big also for your generation, when women were so expected to listen to what the men and the husbands had to say and were somewhat subservient. And I mean, you were a feminist.
I did not really know how to run a business, and my former husband helped me start it. And then I just got people to assist me, and I got the jobs. And then one was a bookkeeper, and one was helped me run for fabrics and things like that. And he did the little drawings. So we kept it. I had 2 guys working for me.
So, but with the column, so when you did Donald Trump's model apartment, was it
after I did the model apartments, I'm sorry, I forgot. I lost my track. They liked the model apartments very much. And they asked me if I would continue writing some columns. And I said, okay. And then they said, would you please stay on? So what I did, it wasn't a paying job, but I thought, this will be a good way to get some publicity. But
promote your business.
It wasn't so much, because what I did was I put it out to all the decorators, and I said, send me your stuff. And each week I published somebody else and wrote a story about what they did. And that's how it was, and whatever I was doing, I would slip in, but it was hard to do it all, because I wrote the column on Sunday because I was busy all week long, and they liked it. So that was it. My models were very much like, here's the thing. They give you a profile. When you do a model, they give you a profile and a budget. The profile is who the person will be that's going to buy that apartment in that location, their income level, and that kind of thing. So you factor that into what you're doing, and you do it for each one of those people, so that that person's going to want to do it. And what I used to do is I would go around to the thrift shops, and I would pick up things like slippers with boas on them and stuff like that. And I would leave it in the closets.
Right.
So that it always looked like somebody was there.
Yeah, it was invoking an image of who, like a home, and who would live here. That's
really cool. What a cool trick.
Yeah, especially, now they model everything.
I thought of to go, where would you find that stuff? You find them in the thrift shops. That's incredible. Since I didn't have a lot of money, sometimes I would find dresses with tags on them that had never been worn, and I'd buy one for me, one for Shari, and that's what we wore at Scott's wedding.
Shari's her daughter.
My daughter.
So now that like you're retired, when you go into places, do you look at them with a designer's eye? Like, do you catch yourself like sort of critiquing?
Yes. All the time.
Always a designer, huh?
I always say I never left a wall I liked.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And you
And in
should
New
see her
York,
apartment.
I'm sure I would
been.
love to see your apartment.
Oh, it's incredible. It's incredible. And it's
What
all
part
run
of-
on an iPad.
Is
It's
it
like,
upper west, upper east? Where are you?
I'm on the Upper East Side.
oh my
But Joan,
gosh.
I'd like to know like what kinds of things that you do. Like you're retired, and I know you do a lot of philanthropy work and those kinds of things. But like, what would you say are the things that you still do right now, or even new things that you do that help to keep your mind sharp and your engagement in life and your day-to-day energy and functioning so well? Because you really look so healthy and you sound wonderful. What do you think that's from?
I think it's very important to keep busy. And I'm
Mhm.
always looking for things to do. I can't do as much as I used to do because I have back issues, a lot of arthritis. But I try to get out a little bit each day. And usually I have an errand of some sort. And then I have stuff to do on the computer. And I'm involved with Hunter College, and I'm involved on the Art and Design Committee. And I am involved with the new museum, but those are periphery things. And for example, I'm taking a group. I belong to the Lotus Club in New York, and
What's the Lotus
started
Club?
150 years ago by Mark Twain, and it was for writers. And when Charles died, my friend Wilma, who was a member, said, "Joan, you have to join this club," and blah blah blah. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I said, "Okay." And she got me into the club. And so on Monday, I'm taking a group of 15 or 18 women or men to the new museum to see the Judy Chicago show. And after that, we go to lunch at the Emporio. This is all down on the Lower East Side because the new museum is on the Bowery.
Yeah.
And the new museum became so successful because of our leadership, like Lisa Phillips, who's just made this all happen, is building another building. When we built this first building, it was a struggle because we only had a certain amount of money and we had to do it. And I was on the committee and we were moving this and that and all. I'm not on the committees now. I'm just watching them all. But this is a beautiful building we're putting in. And it's
Wow. Well, now I want to go to New York and I want to visit there.
Really
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is that like you're really self-sufficient. That sounds like a big one. You're not dependent on other people. You're just going out there and doing what you need to do. And you're also engaged. It sounds like you've got a lot of community that you're involved with.
I try. I do try.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say, why aren't I doing more? But
Oh my gosh.
I'm just too tired.
Every day, don't you still do like an AA Zoom call?
I do that. Well, I
Yeah.
love AA. I've been in
Yeah.
that 46 years and I have a lot of
46
friends in
years.
it. And we go do meetings and Zooms. But more than that, I do. Your son just sent me an email.
My kid's in New York visiting.
Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
coming to
gosh.
dinner tonight.
Oh, good.
So it's like you're not a
I do a lot
counselor,
of
but like an advisor almost, or a counselor in a lot of
No,
ways.
I just, first of all, Charles's family, he had two daughters and I had a daughter and a son. His two daughters each had 3 children. Each of those children have married and have children. Yesterday, we had the 13th great grandchild.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And I
Wow.
hope that in the future, I'll have some great grandchildren. Right now, I don't have any. But on his side, I have 13. It's hysterical.
How often do you see your family?
My family lives in Denver and North Carolina
Mhm.
and in Houston. So I can't see them very often. My husband's family lives up here 10 blocks from me and in New Jersey across the river. So I see them more often.
Yeah.
And I miss everybody. I love it.
Oh,
Charles has 2 wonderful daughters. Actually, you met Charles through his daughter, right? Weren't you doing an interior
last
design?
night I had dinner at Ruthie's house because that was the day that Isabel was born from Judy.
Well, what a role model and inspiration you are. I hope your family appreciates that.
I do. Tell us about, I remember this, when you trekked the Himalayas, how old were you?
53.
What inspired that?
Yeah. And what did you hope that you were going to get out of it? And what did you get out of it?
I'll tell you what inspired it, and then I'll tell you what I got out of it. I had a client that was a little overweight, and she wanted to run with me in the morning. So she lived on Lex, I lived on 3rd. I would go right down to Lex, pick her up, and we'd go around the Central Park. And when the weather was bad, we did it, whether rain, snow, whatever. And when I couldn't run, we walked. And she was a travel agent, and she kept telling me about these treks in the Himalayas. And I didn't want to do things. I was a single person, and I said, well, I'm going to wait to go to Paris, Florence, and Rome until I have somebody, a partner, but I will do other things. And she started telling me about this trek in the Himalayas, and I said, that's what I'm going to do. And so the 2 kids that worked for me got me my visas. We made the arrangement. I had done very well that year, and I had a little extra money, and I took the trip, and I went to the Himalayas. And
where'd you fly into? I'm just curious.
I flew to Lisbon, and then we took something to.
Were you in India?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, sure. I went to I started the trek at Kathmandu, and then went up to. Did you do that? No. I did.
No, I've been to India, but I was at the base of the Himalayas, but I never trekked the Himalayas.
Well, it was an experience. I went up 12,000 feet, and
Wow.
I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to fall off the mountain.
Wow.
But I had drugs with me, and I took something, an antibiotic or something, and then I woke up the next day. I was okay. But
How long did it take?
I trekked for about 2 weeks. Trip was about 2 weeks. Yeah.
Did you have guides to take?
You're not allowed
like Sherpa.
to. You must.
So they're
like
Sherpas.
There were
so they're
5 of us. I didn't know any of them when I started, but you have to have a group. You cannot go. And in those years, we didn't have phones.
Right.
So there were 5 of us that started out. And the first day, one of them went back. She was hysterical. She couldn't do it. And so we were left with 4 people and the guides. But we slept in tents. And then we had potty tents that we went to at night. And there were guards all around, a ring around the tents. And so they kept us. And then in the morning, you'd hear, knock, but he wasn't knocking. He was making sounds because he had made breakfast for us. And we would go out just like you see in the movies. And we'd sit on these camp chairs, and they'd have the bread, the Indian bread that blows up, or whatever.
Right.
Whatever they made. Right.
I'm having trouble just even imagining this, because I know how you live in your lifestyle, and this is not that. Not in a potty tent.
In my life.
Oh my gosh, but that's amazing.
So, I mean, what an experience so talk about that, though. You said you could talk about what you got out of that, first from a Upper East Side executive to a Himalayan trekking hiker.
I think that when you are in AA, you have a spiritual awakening, meaning that you wake up inside and you say, oh, other people do this, that, and the other thing. And oh, yeah, right. And that's what I did. And when I got to the top as far as I could go, and I looked out the world below, and I said, this is the most amazing thing I'll ever do in my life. And it was a real awakening for me spiritually, because I felt that I could accomplish whatever I wanted to do, because I did. It was a tough thing to do.
Incredible. Yeah, you've climbed a lot of Himalayas in your life. But I would say that.
But it's true. That's right. Right. I never thought of that. But that was an experience to this day I can never forget. It was wonderful. Wow. It was wonderful because I did it on my own. And when you get up there and you look around and you say, hey, I'm on the top of the world and I'm okay.
Wow.
I'm sure you have also, especially during that period, an appreciation for just certain things in life that we take for granted every day. Like when you're out there in the middle of nowhere with very few comforts and the things that we just day to day take for granted, right?
And also, I was in the program, which gave me a spiritual awakening, And
Yeah.
I connected the two things, and I thought, it's the best thing I'll ever do in my life. It probably was.
Wow.
Has it been hard for you to stay sober?
No. God, I hated
I've never even seen you have a drink that I can ever recall.
I didn't like the person I was when I drank. And I look at alcohol for anybody and I say, you can do it. I wouldn't. I can't. I don't want to. Never, ever want to be that person again. And Lauren, you know just what I mean.
Yeah. I mean,
that's powerful.
Yeah. I think everybody grows softer in a way as they age. And you're a force. I mean, let's be honest, you're just a force. And I remember when I was little, so Joan's my mother's sister. And so when I was little and my parents were divorced, I remember asking my mother, I was probably like 10, if you die, who's going to take care of me? And she said, Aunt Joan. And I started crying because I was scared of you.
No kidding.
I was like, not because you were mean. You were never mean to me, but you just were like so sure of yourself and so like energetic and loud. And I was just a kid and
I'm sorry.
Are you kidding? I want to come live with you now. Can I come live with you now?
But I'm sure that,
come live with me then.
I think you rubbed off on Lauren because she's a force as well. So
it certainly is. And a lot of it comes from her mother in a way, in a good way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure. And I'm dying to meet Lauren's mother. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder if she's your sister, who's the older sister?
I am.
Joan.
You're the older sister.
Yes.
Joan's almost 9 years older than my mother.
So, and that's like what we're talking about. Like it's interesting to see, like you're in the same family, you have the same genes, essentially had like a lot of the same influences, but look at you compared to health wise, and you're the older sister, which is pretty incredible. And so for me, I just turned 60. Lauren, how old are you?
55.
And we want to age the way you're aging.
Yeah. Give us some advice. Other than, do you remember this? When I was 40, you said, when are you going to get a facelift? I already had a facelift by the time I was 40. I was like, what?
It was 49.
49. Okay.
Well, you must have a good surgeon because you don't look, from anyway on Zoom, you don't look like, I don't know.
No, I don't look that way, but I
what's the comedian, Joan Rivers, she looked weird. And like, you see all these actresses and actors on TV and it looks very strange. You don't look strange. You look beautiful. Yeah. You have a good doctor, I guess.
Well, it was a long time ago. I use filler. They give me some filling because I looked at myself and it was like I was so drawn and thin. Right. So I said, got to fill it up. But I think that helps a lot. But also what you eat. Now, I am not a vegan, but I must say having Lauren and my daughter followed Lauren, I've always tried to eat healthy. After I had my son, I wanted to lose a few pounds, and Jean Neidish had started Weight Watchers, and my other friend had to lose 14 pounds, and I had to lose 4 or 10 or whatever. And so we joined Weight Watchers, and you become aware of what the caloric value is and what you're eating and what goes with what and so forth. So I was a Weight Watcher, Lauren. I have the card, a lifetime Weight Watcher.
I think.
But do you enjoy food though? Do you like to eat?
Yes. I like to
food.
Eat, but you have to be careful. At my age, I don't have the same kind of appetite. I don't eat meat unless it's something very special that I might like a sport steak that might have been marinated and I could cut. Maybe I'll have it.
Sure.
Yeah, but otherwise, I don't eat meat. I do eat fish and chicken and vegetables.
That's great.
And salad and bread. I love bread.
Who doesn't love bread?
Well, and I love that you just said that because, don't be afraid of bread, people.
Yes.
Look at Joan.
Oh my gosh.
And unlike Lauren, I do have oil.
Yes.
So do I.
And
most people do.
Lauren, I have to support Lauren in every way because what she has done has lowered her cholesterol. And this was a family thing because my son has it. I only wish he would follow Lauren's diet.
Absolutely. I'm with you 110%. Like if people only had that experience. But
he doesn't follow the diet. If he followed the diet, he'd be healthier.
That's what I'm saying. If he could have the experience, if he could just let himself do it for a finite amount of time, because I think until you experience it, it's hard to wrap your head around. And it's also hard to change. Habits are really hard to change. So
that's another part of it.
Yeah. But so would you say that, because this is something we talk about, and would you say that getting the facelift and getting the filler, that I know it helps you to feel better about yourself. You look in the mirror, you feel better about yourself. How would you say that impacts sort of your general aging process? Like it seems to me like there's a benefit beyond, there's some inner benefit you get from it.
Absolutely. Because when you look in the mirror, you see a youthful person, and then you become that person.
That's interesting.
That is really interesting. Seeing yourself, you're already feeling youthful, but seeing yourself youthful helps to feed that. It's like a circle.
Yes. And Laura, you look wonderful.
Thank you. I don't get fillers anymore. I did, but I get Sculptra, which is like, it's an injection that makes you, it stimulates your collagen, because also I was feeling very drawn and looking in the mirror and thinking, that's not how I feel. Lisa's gorgeous. Stop it.
I haven't done any yet, but it's on my mind.
Lisa, you look very young. You look
60.
35 or 39, maybe.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Well, I do have good skin from my father's side, who is Filipino. My mom's white and she's more wrinkly, but I'm noticing things. So what I heard was that you do these things for you. It helps you feel better. You're conscious of movement. You have some kind of exercise you do. You're conscious of what you eat. And also it sounds like the Weight Watchers helped you to be more aware of the kinds of things you put in your body and how it makes you feel.
Discipline. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all need a discipline of some sort. And I'm not always disciplined. I'll go in sometimes and sneak a piece of candy. Nobody's here. Who am I sneaking? I don't want Laura to see it.
You know what? But I eat sweets and I eat things that I make. I sweeten them with dates, but I don't think it's good to deprive yourself. You have to have enjoyments in life, right? What do you think? What do you think, like the balance? Like, give our listeners some advice, like about getting to your age, and some big tips, like what resilience, or what are the things?
The thing is to keep yourself inside happy. Satisfied is a crazy word, but you have to feel like you're doing the right things. And I think that is a very big help in moving forward. When you have children, you have to try to do the right things, whatever that is. You have a mate, you have to try to get along with. I mean, it's all working things. Life is
you have purpose. I mean, you have purpose. You had a career. You have people who depend on you through your AA meetings, and you have these communities you're in. So those all give you purpose, wouldn't you say?
And I still think I need more purpose, but at my point in life, I have to think back and say, well, you did all this, but sometimes it doesn't matter. And you think, I'm not doing anything now, but I always have something to do because it makes you feel better. And especially you're interacting with other people. And I think your food intake is very important.
Yes.
I think what you guys have been doing is brilliant. And I just don't know if I'm disciplined enough to do it.
You don't have to
what
do
you're
what
doing.
I'm doing.
What you're doing is working for you.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like, I think what Lauren and I try to teach is, great, if you want to or need to try going whole food, plant-based for health reasons, great. But if plenty of people can have their cholesterol, their blood sugar, their weight all under control without being 100%. And that seems to be what you're doing. We're just trying to nudge people more in the direction of more vegetables, less meat, less animal products. Right. But you don't have to be 100%.
Well, I have a tendency to high blood pressure because I have one kidney. And
oh, wow.
I didn't know that. Why do you only have one kidney?
Because when I turned 80, Lauren, I had kidney cancer.
Oh,
but the cancer was encapsulated.
Okay.
They were able to remove the kidney. And the cancer, I had no radiation, no chemo. It was gone.
Okay.
Wow.
I had forgotten.
But I'm here and I feel fine. I have to watch my blood pressure because bouncing around. And that's the food is very important.
Well, I mean, that's a great example of being able to overcome such an invasive health issue in operation. And what enabled you to do that was your good health from all these other things you do. You eat well, you're healthy, your foundation is strong.
Well, they told me what to do, so I did it.
Oh, you're adorable.
I do want to know, though, and I know that AA plays a big part of this, and I hear in a lot of the things you say what an impact that had on you and your spirituality and your faith and all that. And I'm curious, though, like, how did that help you change your conversation with yourself, about
Absolutely.
having more self-acceptance and self-love? Can you give us some advice on that? That's a big struggle for a lot of people.
Big struggle, and I think the trip to the Himalayas really turned me around. But even today, I have trouble sometimes. I'll blame myself for this, that, and the other thing. But if you drink too much, you're doing it because, first of all, a lot of it it's familial. It's in the family. And I don't know that it was or it wasn't. I do know people in the family that drank, but not my parents. These are relatives, cousins and stuff. But it was a way that I felt better when involved with certain people and certain things. And so when I was in those situations, I knew that if I drank, I would feel I could get through it. And after a while, it didn't feel so good, but I didn't know that it was the drinking. And I went to, my sister-in-law took me to a therapist, sent me to a therapist. And she asked me a few questions. And she said to me, "Joan, you're an alcoholic." I screamed at her and I said, "That's not possible. I'm Jewish."
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
And she said to me, "You are, and you can't come here if you don't go to AA. And you will find plenty of Jewish people that drink too much."
Oh my God.
Wow.
So I went to AA, and I want to tell you something. 2 years into the program, and it took me almost 2 years to get the whole thing. She then sent people to me to help, for me to help.
Wow.
But the thing is, you have to learn to accept, and to accept thus and such wasn't good for me. And then I could stand back and see what it did to me. I had friends that said to me, "Joni, we love you, but when we're at a party, don't come near me." She didn't like the way I drank.
Wow.
And so I didn't come near her. I didn't need her. She's going to feel that.
Did you influence, did any of your friends discover they had a drinking problem too and didn't see themselves that way? No, but you met other Jewish people at AA?
Oh, yes.
So it's true. That's the funniest thing I ever heard.
But the thing about AA is that not everybody accepts it. Not everybody can make it.
Yeah.
And not everybody likes it. I didn't like that they talked about God all the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm Jewish. This is not right. And then I met my friend David Shea. And David Shea said to me, "Joan, God is non-anthropomorphic." That word means it could be the green grass. It could be the plant on your shelf, whatever you want it to be.
Right.
And I always felt that it was inside us, and that if we shut up long enough, you could hear what was right.
Yeah.
And that was in you.
Interesting.
And I don't know if you feel that way, but you never had a drinking problem. So you might have had other issues, but I listen now and I know when I'm off base and I'm thinking too much.
That's powerful stuff. That is powerful. Because what you're describing is a higher power. It's something bigger than yourself.
It was something that gave me a definite change. I had a life-altering thing, whatever. Somewhere along the line, I just changed. And when I look, 46 years is a long time. And when I look, and I still go to meetings, and I love them, and I find new people, other people have died, and so forth. But it's a psychic change. And when you have that psychic change, you can't go back. I know that I've lived most of my life. I don't know how much is in front of me. Certainly, we know most of it's behind me,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm here. Whatever happens, happens.
Would you say, Joan, that part of what comes with aging is self-acceptance?
Oh, it better be.
Mm.
It better be. It's very hard. That's the hardest part for me, is accepting who I am now.
Mm.
What do you mean by that? Just that limitations or?
I can't do what I did, and
Mhm.
I can't walk as far. I can't. I'm having back shots in my back to help me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do what I did. And instead of, which I try to say, so you'll do this instead. And that's very important, because I don't
Absolutely.
know what I did. I have to do what I can.
Well, and that is acceptance right there, because you're saying, okay, so I'm going to shift. I can't do that. I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to beat myself up for it. I'm just going to do it differently, or I'll do it this way. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That has to be frustrating.
It's frustrating, but I get more comfortable because living alone, my husband's gone 5 years, it's hard. And then you begin to say, okay, so I can come home, kick my shoes off, do whatever I want. I'm reading a book, or I'm watching a program, or I'm this. I can eat at 9 o'clock or not at all, or at 6 o'clock. What I mean, there's no.
Yeah.
So,
but that's such a mindset, though, because what I'm hearing is that you're okay with that. You're not fighting it. You're not allowing those limitations to bring you down. I think that's the difference. Like getting depressed or frustrated. You're just like, okay, so I'm going to do that. It may not be what I wanted to do, but I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be okay with it.
And today the sun is shining, so you can't help but feel better.
Right. That's part of the big picture.
Oh, that's
beautiful.
Such an inspiration. You really are.
Will you have coffee with me when I come to New York?
I would love it. I would.
Oh my gosh. We have to go to her apartment. I want to tell, okay. So, I mean, the elephant in the room is you clearly have enough funds to take care of yourself in a healthy manner that not everybody can do and all that. But I want to tell a story that I went to New York. You have such an outrageous apartment. It's like overlooks Central Park. And we went, this was not even just one of my best days with you. I've had so many good days with you, but one of my favorite days ever. I came to your apartment. We went to the Guggenheim. Do you remember? You and I spent the day together at the Guggenheim. We walked around. We went to, what was the Iranian glass artist's name? Farminia.
Oh, I have his work. Oh.
Well, that was what I was going to say.
Chihuly.
Yeah.
We
went to this incredible exhibit, Chihuly, at the Guggenheim, walked around. We saw a documentary about it. Anyway, we come back to your apartment and you said, that was good, but I really like my piece the best. And it's hanging over her bed from the artist. So I just went to the...
No, that was Nair Sharuti Farmanian. She's not with us anymore, but she was the same age as Saul LeWitt. They knew each other. I don't know if you know who Saul LeWitt is, but they were of an age where they did art and it was very geometric. And he used paint and different ways of applying it and so forth. And she used glass, and sometimes it was painted, sometimes it was mirrored, but it was the same kind of abstractions. And so I have him in the living room and I have her in the bedroom.
Oh, I knew I heard that name.
He's on the wall.
The painting in your wall. The whole wall is painted. Okay.
But it's a very small apartment. And we came out of a big duplex when you went to the Guggenheim. When we went to we were in the duplex, I think. I moved in here in 13 into this one. Was it here?
Yeah. No, I think you were in this apartment. Yes. She had another apartment where like the elevator opened into your apartment and that's when I was like, oh, my aunt is not like other people. But yes.
I married into that.
You did. And
I moved. I never got off the street. I just moved west.
That's right.
That's what I tell everybody. And I moved
that's like such a beautiful balance right there, what you're talking about.
I moved into the city in 1977. I moved on to 77th Street on the 17th floor, and I never got off it. And so 7 became the lucky number. Want to hear the payoff? My grandson and his wife live on 77th in the building that I lived in when I first came.
Oh, they live there?
Wow.
That's where they live.
I didn't realize that. That's the building where they filmed Kramer versus Kramer.
Yes.
Wow. How
That was
cool.
the 8th
I remember
floor.
that.
And the building now, it's such a fancy building. They have a doorman, they have paneled entrances and all. They didn't have that when I lived there.
They-
My father lived at
versus Kramer.
My father lived at 81st and First, and I moved to Manhattan in 1983 from Long Island, where I'd been living with my mom, and I moved to the West Village. So I always lived below 14th Street.
I love it. I love 14th Street. Oh my God.
I went to NYU, and so I always wanted to live in the Village.
Of course. And as an aside, we have something called the Charles Lazarus Children's Ability Center. And it's through Mount Sinai, and it's located on 14th Street.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's incredible. Charles was the nicest man. I want everybody to know that even though he was like this big kahuna, like founded Toys R Us, you never met a nicer man. And he would always want to hear about you. He didn't talk about himself.
I love that.
He was a special man. He really was.
Oh,
I'm glad that you found him, Aunt Joan, because you deserve to have a partner like that. He was a lovely man.
Thank you. He was. Yeah.
Are you looking to date now?
No, I'm too old to date.
You're not too old.
And men like girls your age.
No.
That's true.
Oh, gosh. Don't say that.
I'm sure that there are plenty of men in your age group who would love to date you.
Yes, absolutely.
You just don't notice them checking you out.
That's right.
Oh, I don't.
Well, is there anything else you want to give advice, or are we about right?
I just think that it's wonderful what you're doing. And I think that the fact that you have expressed so clearly how good the benefits are that you have gotten from that staying on that diet. And because people have said to me, how can she stay on it? I said, it's a discipline. And then when you find the satisfaction in that, you just don't want to give it up. I
love eating this way. Yeah. If you don't know, she's talking that I eat a whole food, plant-based diet without oil, but I find it very easy and not restrictive at all because I love the food and I love how I feel. And I love that it makes me healthy. And so I don't find it difficult at all. I love it.
Well, I think over time, I think that the thing about that is what people need to hear from all of us is that in the beginning, it's harder to make the changes. So but once you do, and you've been doing it for a while, just like everything else that becomes second nature, it's not as hard as you think it is. You just have to get there. Right. And so don't give up hope, because once you do, you won't think about it like that anymore. But I do want to say, Joan, how much I appreciate you and what gratitude I have for you. And it's you who make this possible, because we have such respect for the life you've lived and what you've done in the world and your knowledge and your wisdom. And I think we all need to listen.
Yes.
Well, Lisa, I thank you. And Lauren, I think the thing is, if you get knocked down, get up. And that's the only thing I can say. You don't know it at the time, but you pick yourself up and you figure out how to move on. And that's, I guess, what I've done. I never thought of it that way.
I can tell. You're tough. Well, I'll tell you something. When I come to New York, I want to go out for coffee with you, because I am certain you have lots of really great stories, and I want to hear some of those stories.
Yes. I will tell you. And you better call me. Lauren will give you my number, my address.
Oh, okay. I will.
I usually go down to Florida at the end of the month, November. Charles got me into it. And it's not that I like Florida, but I like the sun.
Oh, I bet. Well, my mom lives in upstate New York, so I just have to divert into the city for on the way there or on the way back.
Okay.
Go to New York.
So we'll give you a schedule and everything. I look forward to meeting you.
Same here.
Thank you, Aunt Joan.
So much. Thank you, Aunt Joan.
All right. Love you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.